Hello and welcome to Chapter 253 of the DC Alliance podcast. With me, as always, is Joe. Joe, how you doing today?
Oh, we are doing great. Sponsored by Mountain Dew Hard. Yeah, so
Like,
hard. It's alcohol. Yeah,
oh, okay.
yeah. It's not bad. Not bad.
Okay.
Not that I needed it, but like I was drinking it with my dinner, so
Mhm.
I was like, oh, I didn't finish it. I'll just finish it before I get on stream. But that didn't happen. So
Can't let it go to waste, Joe. Can't let it go to
exactly.
waste.
No, today was a interesting day at work. Let's just put it that way. It was a blast seeing everything go to shit and everybody just standing around and be like, I'm not a team leader. I can't touch that. Sorry.
Very frustrating when things go to shit and nobody wants to fix it or seemingly can
It's
fix
it's
it.
not that nobody wanted to fix it. I could have easily fixed the problem. That's not what I'm paid for. So the line
That's
goes
true.
if the line goes down because they decided to put my team leader who could have fixed it on the line because they wanted to move somebody to somewhere else. That's not my fault that the line went down.
That's true. That is true. You can't control that kind of stuff. You can only do your
Exactly.
job in the line.
Exactly. How was your day?
Not too bad. Joe was my day off, so it was nice. I did a bit of grocery shopping and a few other things before picking up the kid and going and get Allison before work. It was nice to get home before traffic. Usually,
That's
Allison's
always
home
good.
with Oliver at like 5 after 5 in the evening, and today we were all home. I want to say 5 after 4.
Nice.
So
Yeah,
that's
like
nice.
I get out of work at 2:30 and usually home by 3:15, give or take. Traffic between
There
four
is
and
this
five and five
rare.
and six.
I don't know if it's if it's like it where you're too, but there's this rare sometimes where it's like a 2 o'clock traffic here where it's like insane sometimes. So I'm like,
It
like
varies.
where did this come from? Like, what everyone get out early or like?
Yeah,
I've seen it at times.
it varies.
No, insane traffic for me is definitely different.
Sure. Yours is like what? Never mind.
5 minutes.
I was gonna
Sorry,
make a joke, a
you're gonna make a
bad
joke
joke, but I
about
stopped
like.
myself.
Oh, don't worry. People in my own country, when I went to this random thing when I was in high school, like this random forum or something in Ontario, they thought that we lived in igloos. And I'm like,
I'm sorry. What? You're not Alaska.
guys, same country. We're in the same country. So, but Joe, that's not why we're here
Anyway,
today. We're here to talk about Creature Commandos. The first 2 episodes dropped
yes.
yesterday. So before we do that, let me get the network plugs out of the way here. So we are part of the Geek Ultimate Alliance with 6 shows in total. On Mondays, bi-weekly is Ranger Alliance. On Tuesdays is the Walk Through the Multiverse. On Wednesdays is the Animation Nation. On Thursdays is Star Wars Alliance. On Friday is Marvel Alliance. On Saturdays is DC Alliance. Star Wars Alliance goes live on the Geekverse YouTube channel Wednesdays at 7 p.m. Eastern Time. Marvel Alliance goes live Thursdays at 9:10 p.m. Eastern Time. And DC Alliance goes live Fridays at 7 p.m. Eastern Time. All 3 of those shows also have their own podcast feeds. Search DC Alliance, Marvel Alliance, and Star Wars Alliance if you just want DC content, Marvel content, or Star Wars content only. But if you want all 6 shows on the GUA Podcast Network, stay subscribed to the GUA on your podcast app of choice. We also have a Patreon, 2 tiers, a $1 tier, and a $5 tier. The $1 tier is basically a tip jar, like we're doing. You want to help us out. And $5 tier is where you get your extras, you get your ad-free episodes, early access to episodes, and Patreon exclusive shows. Myself and Joe's show, DC Films Through the Years, going back through all the DC films from Batman 66 onward, over 25 pieces of content on there. We also have the Marvel Alliance guys, Chris and Brent. They've done 2 shows. First one was the Infinity Saga, going over all of that, and they've also finished up their Tales from the House of X, talking about their favorite Fox Marvel films. And we have Joe's Multiverse Minutes, where Joe is doing his Disney deep dives. Not only is he reviewing a Disney film, he's giving you behind the scenes info, fun facts, tidbits, all that kind of stuff. We thank everyone that's a patron, but if you're not a patron, if you take a quick 30 to 60 seconds, rate and review the podcast on your podcast app of choice. It's always greatly appreciated. It helps other people find the show, and that's always a good thing. Okay, Joe. Hi, Iggy.
No biggie.
I,
Not
I
getting to
don't
the second part.
I don't know where. I don't know where. I don't know. Hopefully not here. Hopefully not here. Joe, we got a new show,
Yes.
Creature Commandos.
Woo.
So I have to ask you right off the top, what are your thoughts? Spoiler free, of course, of the first 2 episodes in general, not just like specific to story, but just what do you think of those 2 episodes and this take with these characters?
If you don't like James Gunn, you're not gonna have a good time. Like this is James Gunn to a T, man. Like
Mhm.
there was a couple moments where some of the dialogue and like some of the actions was how they were just talking and how they were moving, and I'm like, holy shit, this is James Gunn having fun, and
Yep.
it's great. I love it. But all in all, like this has been it. There's a lot of things going on. We'll get into it when we do the breakdown. But I'm interested to see. I'm interested in the story. I'm interested to see what's going to happen.
And I echo those sentiments, Joe. There's a hell of a lot more good than there is bad in these first 2 episodes. A couple times with the writing, it was a little for me. Especially the rambunctious guard. Talking like he's from the Scream movie, like what's that? That was a little much for me. Like, not gonna lie, that, but like that doesn't ruin 30 seconds of a guy. Doesn't ruin like 40 minutes of what I watched.
Mm-hmm.
The animation is fantastic. It's arguably some of the best DC animation I've ever seen. Like, just in terms of fighting style, like fighting, like there's nothing that goes on like that in those continuous one shots with all that. Like the example, like a couple of the fights that we got between characters and stuff. Like in the first couple, you weren't getting anything that kind of action in the Tomorrowverse or even the DCAU. So like I appreciate the animation style.
So I would argue you got some of that in DCAU, not so much in the Tomorrow stuff.
Well, maybe that's what I have to do a DCAU watch, but
but that's also again like 10 years ago, 10 plus years ago.
They move really fluid. Sometimes I found some of the DCAU were like, even Batman was a little bit more clunky. This was great, and the voice acting was great. Like I said, the writing sometimes was a little, but I really enjoy that overall. I can't wait to see where we're going to go from here.
You know where we're going to go? To the Jamie Kennedy experience.
Yeah, really. That's I was like, oh my god, remember that? That was the thing.
That was the thing.
That was the thing. That dated me for sure.
I did like Phosphorus be like, you are totally up on today's pop culture in America. Good job, you.
Are you smiling? I always smile. You wouldn't know. But no, all the characters and getting a couple of backstories so far. That was nice. So I'm assuming we'll get each of those as the episodes go.
Yeah, I mean, we've gotten
something like the Tin Man, so I think we'll get the backstory for GI Nazi next episode.
GI Robot.
Sorry, it's just he said Nazi so many times it was like burned into my brain. But no, this is really enjoyable, and I can't wait to dig into it here with you, Joe. I guess we'll get off and running with the first episode.
Let's do it.
Which is titled the Collywobbles. Sorry.
Yeah, I was trying to figure it out because the way that their lettering is, that C definitely didn't look like a C when I first popped up.
Wait, before we jump into the episode, let's talk about the intro. What do you think about the opening credits scene? The opening credits, sorry, not the opening credits scene, but the opening.
Yeah, the opening credits. Not bad. I kind of liked it. Just like the introduction of the characters doing a little thing, and then it says who they are and who's voicing them.
I heard a collective groan of Snyder Bros when the animation for the opening sequence with the writing. I thought it was hilarious.
Really?
Looked a little similar to Harley Quinn. You saw it there?
I mean, I saw that, but it didn't really like.
I thought it was so cool. Like, yes,
it didn't affect me.
No, like, but they're gonna like rage over something like that.
Cry and bitch about everything.
So I thought it was a very nice touch, and it just reminded me of his Harley Quinn one. Yeah, I had the same face. So yeah, we jump right in, and we see
you need to re-clarify that because I have no idea what you're trying to say there, bud.
Yeah. So Polkistan is under attack by Cersei, and again, this is pretty cool. Cersei, first villain of DCU.
Yeah.
And pretty impressive.
You could argue that Creature Commandos aren't really heroes.
No, well, yeah. Some of them, I don't know how bad Frankenstein is, or Bride. Sorry.
I mean, Bride is
Frankenstein seems pretty terrible.
Frankenstein is not. Yeah, no, we'll get to him.
So we get an opening scene that looks very similar to Suicide Squad, with except it's Rick Flag Sr. instead of Jr. exact same thing running through the prisoners with Amanda Waller. Like it
Yep.
was just exactly like it, and I love
Like
it.
I said, if you like James Gunn, you'll like this.
Yes,
It's
100%.
clearly a James Gunn project.
So, what jumped out at you when we first saw our collection of monsters there, Joe?
Honestly, for me, it was. I thought we were going to get a scene that we saw in the trailer of them at like a lunch or in the prison cafeteria, and that's how they're introduced to the characters. Which I mean, obviously we would get that, but now it just, in my eyes, it means that they're going to finish up with what's going on here in Pakistan and then come back and then have another mission. At least that's what I think.
I think so too.
But seeing all these characters just sitting there was different, was interesting. I don't know. Like I liked in Suicide Squad where as Amanda's talking to Flag, going over these characters, they're grabbing them, like going by them and grabbing them. This is like, here's that person, that person, that person. They're just sitting down there. I did like when Amanda did go down there to leave, that Phosphorus Bride and Weasel are like,
jump to get out. Yeah. Which
and then,
again,
then
same
she's like,
as
no.
But she
Which
shot
you would think Weasel would have understood that, you know, because he was
and she references and says like she can't use like human even ones with abilities anymore. You have to like she thinks she can get around it with this, and I think this is going to open up the door for Flag to take over Argus. Is that I don't think she's going to be able to get around the work of it all using this group. I think this group's going to do something big that back to Waller. So I think that could be because Grillo said that in Superman he's leader of Argus, so I think he's going to take it over from Waller.
good point.
Buddy in this series. I think that something like this is what's going to come back on her. And she references Project Starfish or Quarter Maltese. Sorry, Project Quarter Maltese.
Yeah, because Flag asked her, Senior asked her about what how she was handling her daughter outing her, and she's like, yeah, well,
yeah, I just can't use them.
I just got to move on. Yeah.
And it's Task Force M now. And yeah, so they go to the Queen, well, the Princess, sorry, not the Queen. Nina, what's her name?
No, Nina is the
bride.
the fish
sorry.
lady.
No. Yeah, you're right. You're right. You're right. Yeah.
The
Ilana, sorry. Ilana.
That tracks.
Yeah. So yeah,
Rostovic.
they go to
Ilana Rostovic.
Guard her from Cersei. And they all stay in her castle, which I thought was pretty cool animation too. And you can clearly tell she's into Rick Flag Sr. immediately.
One thing I noticed, and I mean they made it pretty obvious, is that when they're staying there, when they're at dinner or the lunch or whatever, and the Queen is like 80, 100 years old, about ready to die, and the princess is looking hot as she is trying to fuck Rick Flag. And the bride like clocks her, and what she's saying is like, something doesn't add up. Something doesn't add up. I think she knows that Elena is not who she says she is.
Yes, or there is something going on there for sure. And yes, we get a great fight scene in between Phosphorus and Flag because he sneaks in to try to get the remote, and it's such a great action scene, Joe, with the animation. I loved it back and forth there with powers and Phosphorus going for broke, and I love how Flag at the end is like I'm not going to shock you, like we're supposed to be out of team.
Yeah,
and Phosphorus does take that to heart in the next episode.
I think he does.
Total bro move. Before we go any further,
that's it. Well, I mean, I was just going to point out Iggy's comment, and like we will get to that, Iggy, closer to when we get to that.
Yeah,
if that makes sense. Yeah.
And before we do anything else, let's take our first ad break. Listeners, we're an ad-supported network. We're going to pick the ads at the volume. I'm going to do a quick 3 count to adjust your volume, and we'll be right back in 3, 2, 1. And we're back. Okay, Joe. Moving forward here, we have a fight between them, and final to end that episode, which we probably should have did before we
Hey, that's on you.
took
You
that
don't
break.
want
Yep, I know. Bride sneaks out, and Bride was hesitant about coming back here anyway when she found out where they were going. And Nina sneaks out with her, and that's how they end the episode, is him sneaking away.
Well, they end the episode when they get to the castle, and the old lady who is
Yes,
keeping
I thought that was
watch
in the next episode.
calls
Okay,
Frankenstein,
yeah,
Eric
you're right. You're right,
Frankenstein.
because she's like, you were born here,
Yeah,
and yeah, and so I enjoyed this episode, but I think the second episode is
second
much,
episode was
much better.
definitely better. The tourmaline necklace.
Yes, and we see Dr. Frankenstein, who was created by Eric.
So no, Eric Frankenstein is the monster. Victor Frankenstein
Oh,
is the doctor.
I didn't hear her say. I don't even think I ever heard him say Victor, his name, once.
Well, he calls him Frankenstein, and then he called Frankenstein, the doctor, calls him Eric the entire time. He doesn't actually say Eric Frankenstein, but according to what we're given here for cast, Frankenstein is called Eric.
And he wants a bride, Joe. So he's getting
Now his logic is pretty sound. He, men wants to be happy, and so he wants the bride to be happy. And he's talking to Dr. Frankenstein. It's like, so why can you have a bride to be happy and I can't? Like, to equal it out, I should just kill your bride, right? Right? And Dr. Frankenstein's like, you make a good point. Let's go ahead and assemble here.
I'm gonna get you one, and he does a good job. She comes to life, which is pretty crazy. She's like pretty freaky at first. He's there with the flowers right in her face, like oh, I'm like, oh my god.
Well, and he points out
pointers for Jordan.
Dr. Frankenstein points out, it's like, for a normal birth, the child is in the mother's womb for 9 months. They have that period of gestation, that period of not loneliness, connectivity. Learning, like they're connected to the mother, yearning. Yeah. The bride here, she's coming in. Like, first she was here, and then she wasn't here at all. Now she is, and she doesn't have that connectivity. So she is seeing literally everything in an instant, and it's all attacking her senses all at once. You shoving flowers in her face is not helping. Stop it.
No, and then the doctor goes about trying to teach her like language and all that stuff, and it's going well first, but then Eric lashes out and takes off. And
well, it also didn't help that you could see exactly what was happening with the bride and Dr. Frankenstein.
Well, it gets to that point where they make a connection and they have sex. And
a love connection, if you will.
He gives her a necklace too before that. And Dr. Frankenstein has sex with her, and Eric sees it, and he's not happy. He's in tears. And then when Bride comes back, she sees Eric has taken the doctor and basically turned him inside out a little bit.
Totally normal reaction when you see the person that made a person for you.
It also made you.
Like, total normal reaction to, rip him inside out. It's fine.
Yeah.
Fine.
And she freaks out, and they have a great fight.
Kind of a fun fight. Like, goes through the ages. Like, she leaves, he finds her, and
basically shows that he's been chasing her the entire time.
What's interesting is, and I'm sure we'll get an explanation at some point in time, probably because she got captured by Argus, but like, obviously there was a period where he couldn't find her. Yeah. So when he got the call from the old lady, he was like, my bride, finally, I can finally get my bride again. Like, so that's I do find that interesting.
Yeah, he's going, and I wonder has he changed at all in the times.
Oh, I doubt it. Yeah. I doubt it.
I can't wait to see other creature commandos encounter him too.
I mean, literally for almost 200 years, he would chase after her, trying to vie for her attention again.
He'll probably let himself be captured and join the group just because of being close to Bride. And while it won't turn him down, just look at his power set. Like,
yeah, he's pretty powerful.
So yeah, it's not good. So that essentially
That's most of the bride's storyline. We'll get to the rest
Yeah.
of it
Well,
here
it's
in a bit.
basically most of this episode is all the memories for her, and they find the necklace in real time too.
Yeah.
Nina does, and then in the present, Alana basically puts the moves on Flag and says, "I'm getting what I want," and they have sex, and then the guards are. I found this a little stupid too. The guards are like, "Can I knock now? Can I knock now?"
Give it. I mean, he hasn't been. What does Prospero say? He hasn't had anything in a while, so give him like 30 seconds.
Yeah.
And then Weasel says something. It's like,
Well, he's like Phosphorus, like he's there with the queen. He can only last like how long can you hold out with her? Like
yeah,
30
he's
seconds.
old. Yeah, like, oh yeah, Weasel, you're correct. He is. He is older.
Older.
He's got some experience. Give it a minute.
Give it a minute. Yeah. So I think Flag is giving
So
him
yeah,
shit
so
after. He's like, "Why didn't you tell me that the two snuck out?" And he's like, "I thought I was doing you a favor."
oh yeah, so Iggy, to bring up your comment, we saw Rick Flag senior fucking the princess, and Geekverse might say, "Can we join? Sure, grab a bitch and join the fun." Uh, eh,
I don't think she wanted that.
yeah,
Yeah.
eh.
So, uh, yeah. So anyway, Cersei attacks at the same time, and like
Cersei attacks the bride and
Bride
Nina.
and Nina, yeah,
Yeah,
because she gets notified as well that they're
yeah,
there.
because she's got. Oh, dude. So okay, so I don't think we brought up either last
The
episode.
men
Or
of
this is
Cersei,
the
the men of
the
sons of
sons
Amazon,
of
the
Themyscira,
Mascara, yeah.
who are literally, let's be honest, literally incels.
They're literally Pride Boys.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yep.
yeah, and yeah, it's
Uh,
hilarious. It's hilarious.
yeah. Yeah, because
So
they think that Cersei's really going to take them to Themyscira. Like, you guys are
being used, you
dumb.
idiots. Yes, and they're like, "Oh, island only for women? That's really sexist."
Yeah, they have
Like,
this
oh my
beautiful
god.
waterfall for women. Why can't men have waterfall? Dude, shut up.
Yeah, so these guys are not likable, and Bride does some work here
Oh,
because
God.
Bride saves Nina like 7 times. She bodies up several characters, and Cersei's there like very powerful as well. She There's a couple times where she has the upper hand on Cersei too, pounding into her.
Yeah.
But
Until
ultimately,
she turns her hands into balloons.
into wacky inflatable iron flailing tube man, and she's like, "What is this?" And that's it. And Cersei deals the final blow and takes them out. It
well,
looked like they were dying first. I was like, "They're not going to die."
because Nina, like, she tries to run away
Yeah,
Bride
we,
tells her to. She goes over a hill, and there is some of the sons of Themyscira who start shooting at her. So she runs back, and as she's getting ready to get back in the castle, she sees the Bride and Cersei fighting above her, and she like looks up, and then there's one of the sons gets a shot off that breaks the glass jar over her head. And so yeah, she can't breathe because she's out of water. And I do love this part when the bride does fall down. She's right next to Nina, and she apologized. She's like, "Oh, I'm sorry." I think she actually legitimately was
yeah,
sorry. But then Nina's like,
fuck
"Go
you.
fuck yourself."
Yeah, and that was hilarious
It
too.
was
She's
great.
like, we could have been in there out of there if you weren't you weren't such a weird person to me,
Yeah,
like explaining stuff to me, but no. And yeah, who
I do
catches
like
them
that.
at
I
the
do
end there? Who
appreciate that
catches
Nina
them at the end, Joe? I didn't like notice it as much.
was that. Sorry,
The Suns, yeah, the Suns
yeah.
catch them. Yeah,
I do like uh Nina. Like, I do like that anytime Nina asks Bride a question and she like blows her off, Nina calls her out. She's like, "You could just said no. You don't have to like be a
yeah,
bitch about it." Basically.
yeah. And I think ultimately that's why she got the sorry there.
Uh,
Iggy, right?
what Iggy asked, "What is your thoughts on the Bride kicking Cersei in the jewel?" Laughed. That was good.
Yeah,
I
I
was
thought
actually
so.
kind of wondering because it almost looks like, because she actually does have a jewel above her crotch. It looked like the jewel may have gotten cracked, and I'm wondering if that is going to like mean something.
Maybe it might, Joe. That is a good point. I did notice it cracked, but I didn't think about it. I just thought it was just something that they did for cool.
Never know.
So yeah, these 2 episodes are really good, Joe. I enjoyed them. I'm looking forward to the next episode, which is called "Cheers to the Tin Man," and I only know it only shows here the first 5: Chasing Squirrels and the Iron Pot.
I was going to come in here on this episode and be like, "Oh, the DCU is really in trouble. This episodes were terrible," and try to pull that off. But yeah, I honestly I totally forgot until just now.
No, it was
Because
really
it's a good
enjoyable,
episode. They were really good episodes.
and it's currently number 2 on Max.
Yeah.
In the States, which is behind Dune, which is a rather popular uh, show.
Can't be that popular. I haven't watched it yet.
Rather popular property.
Popular property, yes.
So there are some Easter eggs from these 2 episodes as well. The Sons of Themyscira came from a New 52 comic.
Yeah.
They were male children of the Amazons who were abandoned at birth.
Which is a thing.
Yep.
I know even in the newer, like New 52 and Rebirth and all that, like it's a thing that has popped up in the comics. So it's not something that's actually it does say right here in New 52, the Sons of Themyscira are male children. Yeah,
So Bride's reading a copy of Young Love, which was the earliest romance comic titles, which was published by Chris Wood Prize, that was later sold to DC.
nice.
And we get a reference to James Gunn's movie Slither.
Yeah, I was wondering about that.
Nina lying in the tub. And yet the Bride of Frankenstein's birthplace goes back to Frankenstein's Castle. It's a reference to the 1931 film. And this one
Zac Efron.
Near the end of the first episode, we see a picture of shirtless Zac Efron in the background of a lady who was keeping an eye on Frankenstein's castle. I didn't notice his background.
Oh, I saw it immediately. It was great.
And yeah, there's a lot of stuff from Frankenstein.
Yep.
Nina talks about her father, Professor Myron Murawski. In the comics, he was the scientist who created the creature Commandos.
Oh, fun.
And in the flashback scenes, we can see Rick Flags. Ultra Bunny is a character created by Gunn with the obstacles are opportunities message on it, being the production slogan for the Suicide Squad movie.
Very good.
And the last one, in the Woodstock scene, we can see Shaggy Rogers from the Scooby-Doo franchise making an appearance and watching a fight.
I mean, maybe. Probably.
So, yeah, it would make sense with Gunn also doing Scooby-Doo.
The Scooby-Doo movie, yeah. Which is a good movie. Really do enjoy that movie.
Same. Joe, moving on to some news. There was a Variety article with Gunn. There wasn't a whole lot that came out of that. The main thing is that he mentioned that he greenlighted something already that we don't know about yet. He talked a little bit about Creature Commandos again, the soft intro into our universe, which metahuman exists, monsters exist, magic exists, and it's incredibly complicated. Political situations exist, and we see what the world of DCU is through the animated perspective, where it costs as much to create a battlefield as it does to create a kitchen. Well, not exactly, but not as dissimilar as it would be in a film. He mentioned before too that the only reason this is the first thing is because he already was approached by WB Animation to do something DC oriented. He chose this, so he's writing these scripts and finished the scripts when he got asked to take over DC Studios.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
So he said that's why this is going out first. There's no grand plan to have this go out first. It's just this was the first thing that was ready to go.
So yeah, he'd already been working on it before.
He had scripts all finished, and then he got the job as DC Studios co-chair or co-CTO.
Yeah, people have to remember that this stuff is years in advance. Like, obviously, he became the head of DC in 2023 or 22?
22.
No, 23. Wait. Yeah,
22. End of 22, and then he put out that video at the start of 23.
That's what it was. Okay. Yeah. So if he'd been working on this before, that means he got it probably approached beginning of 22, middle of 22. Like that's 2.5 years ago. So these things don't just pop up overnight. Like
especially animation, it takes a while.
Especially animation, yeah.
So yeah, it wasn't a whole lot of stuff there. essentially he's like, you can tell your stories, like this is a different story, completely different story from Superman, and he's like, those are from the two from the same people, and he's like, you can like, it doesn't, there's no one story that we're telling here. And honestly, this brings me to a question that we had. Actually, before we take that question, let's take a listener's word ad support network. We don't pick the ads or the volume. I'm going to give you a quick 3 count to adjust your volume, and we'll be right back in 3, 2, 1. And we're back. Okay, Joe.
After we hit that question, which I probably should have actually looked that one over, we can hit Iggy's question
Yeah.
in the chat.
So fanboy Clay asked us a question, 2 questions actually. He said, we've heard from Gunn that Creature Commandos has connective tissue with all projects currently announced. I didn't hear that.
Outside of it just being part of the same universe.
I've heard of that.
Anyway.
I just didn't, other than Swamp Thing and Supergirl, from what I can remember. With James' comments about comparing the storytelling of DCU to Star Wars, there will be stories from all over based in one universe, grounded in cosmic current and past. Could we see a DC movie set in the future that affects the current timeline, heroes, and characters? And 2, will this kind of storyline hurt the general audience perception of DCU or comfort them with now a little less pressure on homework viewing? So first one and then second one, Joe.
So I could definitely see them doing time. Like they could easily have like a Jonah Hex from back in the Wild West. They could have a Legion of superheroes in the future in 30th century. Legion especially because they all the time come back in the past.
Mm-hmm.
So that is a way that it could affect the past current timeline. But that being said, like I don't know, having it be different settings, different things, not having it be and I guess this kind of addresses the second question as well. The only reason Marvel has that issue of homework viewing of having to, and I've definitely called it like having to do a lot of homework just to know what's going on in X project. But I've also been watching these movies since 2010 when they started coming out. 2008 when they started coming out. So, like for me, and especially Phase 1. Phase 1, no big deal. I could rewatch, or not Phase 1, the Infinity Gauntlet Saga or Infinity Saga.
Infinity Saga.
Like I could watch the 20 movies, no problem. Put them on. Yep. I've seen them numerous times. The problem comes is that now you really can't have just a separate project. Everything that came before is tying into what is coming now. For DC, I'm sure it's going to be fine in the beginning. Just, it's starting out. So, like, you don't have to watch Creature Commandos to understand these characters in Superman when they pop up. You don't have to watch, you may have to watch Superman to understand Supergirl, but, like, you won't have to watch Superman, or you won't have to watch Supergirl to understand the Authority.
Nope.
Or even Booster Gold.
Yep, that's true, too. So again, I do think we could see a DC movie set in the future. I don't know if it'll affect the current timeline, heroes, and characters much, unless you have characters going from the current time into the future and affecting stuff when they go back. That might be a possibility. You could also see Batman Beyond project. There's a couple different ones, or the Amazon project could be set in the past.
Definitely will be set in the past, right? Because it's not going to have Wonder Woman. So unless
that's a past one.
Yeah, so I do like your idea of them coming from the past into the future and going back.
Yeah.
Because that could definitely affect their outlook on, unless, I know one way that Legion got around it, the Legionnaires got around it, or Legion of Superheroes got around it, was if they erased Superman's mind every time he went back. He had knowledge of the Legion of Superheroes, and he knew he would go to help, but I feel like, if I remember correctly, they like erased his knowledge of future events so that he would not change those events. Because if he changed the events, it changes the future.
That is, like, again, it is a good point. And to the thing about will this kind of storyline hurt the general audience perception of the DCU or comfort them with? I don't think it's going to hurt them or help them. I just think we're not getting a like this is the big bad of gods and monsters. Like this is what all the stories are working towards. No, these are all individual stories set in chapter 1 of DCU in the world. Like they don't have to connect at all. Like Swamp Thing don't have to have anything to do with any of these properties. It can just tell its own story about Swamp Thing. Swamp Thing could show up in something later, like a Justice League Dark, if that gets made, but it doesn't have to connect to anything. It can just be its own story, which again, that is very refreshing. It doesn't
It's
have
very
to.
good. But at the same time, when everything is happening in the world, and that's what I think was wrong with phase 2 of Marvel, is because you had the Avengers happen, and then like in Thor, you've got the Dark Elves coming and destroying half of London. Where is everybody?
Yeah. Like they would know, like they would know that was the problem that you had. You have to suspend belief for that part.
So, but what I'm saying is that these stories are going to be happening in the world. It's going to have to be and I'm not saying Superman can't go to a street level thug and stop him from doing something, but like it's going to have to be they're going to have to put in there why Superman's not showing up. Mm-hmm. Similar to what they did with him in the Flash movie. He was busy stopping the tsunami, so he couldn't help Flash and Batman.
Yeah. And that's just one. That's just one line, and that's fine. And we're like, okay, perfect. We obviously that would happen. So
Superman's off in space fighting Mongol.
But James Gunn also mentioned we'll go to the next part of the news, but
we still got Iggy's
question. Yeah. But he did mention that like that's the stuff that he's stickler for, like the maintaining continuity throughout 3 acts or through, like,
and that's the big thing
in the first act, not forgetting it. So yeah, he's very stickler with the scripts too.
Yeah, so that's probably a good thing. Why they are waiting on making sure the script's ready before they greenlight the project.
Yeah. And Iggy asks, what actor or actresses from Superman and Lois would you like in the DCU? I wouldn't mind seeing Betsy Tulloch as a reporter.
She'd be fun.
Cat Grant. Not Cat Grant. Who's the one from Gotham? Vicky Vale.
Oh,
something like that. Yeah. So
that would be a decent Vicky.
Yeah. But I think they're good with their legacies. I don't need to see them in the DCU.
They are. I mean, I would love to see them. Bit parts would be great.
Yeah. Well, give me a guy who played John Henry Irons.
Yes, that's what I was gonna say.
Steel. Give me him.
Throw him in there somewhere because he did an amazing job as Irons.
He was great. Yeah. So moving on news-wise, Gunn revealed that there is a new DCU project that was greenlit last week. I was happening the Happy, Sad, Confused podcast that I watched yesterday, and yeah, he mentioned that, and there was another point there that he mentioned about there was going to be Silver Age influences in Superman. He said, I don't think we've seen the big science fiction Silver Age Superman aspects that we have in our movie. We've never seen this specific part of Superman's life. So I'm all for that. Like we said about Tyler Hoechlin, never saw Superman have 2 sons and a full family before in live action. That was a cool take. I was all about that. So
speaking of Tyler, Iggy says Tyler Hoechlin as Batman. I think they actually, in all honesty, there might be something in the works already for Batman, but Hoechlin as Batman, no, nothing, no disrespect, because I think he'd be great, but he was wonderful as Superman. He doesn't need to be another big role like that.
No, he's good with, like, he can be something different. Question, like, just something, a character, a different DC character.
Ooh, him as the Question would be kind of interesting.
Just a thought.
Him as Vic Saint. That'd be kind of fun, actually.
So,
I don't know if do you have this in your, in the notes? Because I saw this over on Instagram, but apparently Gunn wants to prop up a lot of the not unknown characters, but the lesser characters. So, like, his first example was the Huntress. So that'd be kind of fun, interesting to see. So, like, the Question would be a good one, I think.
Yeah.
Anyway, sorry. Go
Oh,
ahead.
I've been wondering, like, eventually we're gonna have to get a question property at some point. Like, it's been a little while now that I've
But
think
here's the
that.
thing: do you do Vic Sage question or Renee Montoya question?
Ooh,
They're both pretty. Honestly, you could do them both, but
yeah, you could do one leading into the other.
yeah,
One thing here, just a quick update about Raven Bold, Booster Gold, and Waller. They're not there where James Gunn is ready to put them in production yet.
sure.
He said that he's waiting on the scripts to be right. He said,
Interesting that isn't he writing the ones for Waller?
I don't think so. I think that's passed out to somebody. I feel
Okay.
like maybe I can't remember who. And this is one that I thought was really funny because some people are going to freak out, but you obviously got to think about this. James Gunn revealed at one point he thought about bringing Robert Pattinson's Batman to DCU. He said he was saying in the Happy Sad Confused podcast, and he said, "I'd be a fool not to have thought about it. Like you got to think about like what that would do, like what that means." He's like, "But I'm committed to telling Elseworld stories, and I want to keep telling those." And Matt Reeves is doing a great job in what he's doing. So
Yeah.
he talked about other things too, like Red Sun as another Elseworld possibility.
Ooh, I would love that.
Same.
There you go. That could answer Iggy's question here. What about Superman's sons in DC? What about them? Put them in the Red Sun. Red Sun Superman.
They're fine. I wouldn't complain if they're in there,
No.
but
We'll get the older versions. You know, they're at the end
oh
of
my
the last
god,
episode.
okay, yeah, I would have complained if I saw those guys. Like, who the hell are these guys?
Yeah, where were they at? I don't think they spoke. Like I don't think we heard any lines from them.
I don't think we did either. Thinking about it now, Gunn talking about Suicide Squad and Peacemaker, they're like canon to the DCU. Peacemaker is pretty straightforward, with the exception of the appearance by a certain group at the end. They don't exist yet, but the rule is if we mention something in the past in one of the new DCU shows and movies, then it happens. So that's the way we're dealing with it, which I think is a silly way.
It's the way I'm looking at it is Peacemaker season 1. Stop. That's it, and it splits off into the multiverse.
Mine is Peacemaker season 1 stops at Peacemaker carrying out Harcourt, and no Justice League shows up.
I like the Justice League just shut up. I mean, in this new version, it's the newer versions of them.
No, they're not even formed yet, is what he said. The Justice League isn't formed yet. I think that's going to be like one of the big things. Is like, yeah, so like they can't show up because they haven't formed yet. So, yeah.
But that ruins the fish fucking joke.
Which is fine. I'll survive.
Okay, fine.
This is something that I'm disappointed in. Not gonna lie. We saw the unused comic accurate steel costume from Superman and Lois.
I mean, we did see it.
But why did you have the guy looking like freaking whatever his name is from Halo, Master Soldier? Is that
Master
Halo?
Chief?
Master Chief? Like, why'd you have him looking like that when you could have had him looking like this? This is freaking awesome.
But he did look like this.
Yes, but he should have looked like this the entire freaking show. The entire show.
At least
after the first season.
Yeah, like season 2, and you could even argue season 3 on. Yeah. But I mean, he got this at the very end. It does suck that it was all for one scene.
I'm disappointed.
No, that's fair.
It looks fantastic. It's very rare that they don't choose the right. This is, oh my god, why wouldn't you put this together for the? Okay, move on. It's amazing. Props to him.
Props to the props department.
There's going to be an official DC Studios podcast. It's going to be called DC Studios Showcase, the official podcast, your one-stop shop for all things DC and DC Studios. Listen wherever you get your podcast starting December 6th. I didn't get through the full trailer.
Oh yeah, it starts today. Sorry, I didn't even.
So, but I will. I'm sure I'll check it out depending on the guests that they have. They do have a person there doing comics at the same time, like telling you where some of these stories are based on or inspired by. So yeah, that's a pretty cool aspect.
Maybe I'll check out the episode now.
Yeah, I think it's gonna be good. So Gunn says Superman is not an ensemble movie during an Instagram live. He said at the middle of everything is Clark, Lois, and Lex. It's about these 3 characters.
Okay.
I'm fine with that. The Penguin nabs 4 nominations for Critic Choice Awards, doing work. Best Limited Series, Best Actor in a Limited Series, Best Actress in a Limited Series, and Best Supporting Actress in a Limited Series. Colin Farrell, Kristen Milotti, and Deidre O'Connell. Penguin still... Oh, that was such a good show, Joe.
Yeah, yes it was.
There was some unreleased Suicide Squad posters that got out today, or yesterday, from David Ayer, Harley Quinn, Deadshot, Diablo, and the group. And he also just said that he hopes that his film can be seen one day.
I do like the full group. You actually have Slipknot on the cover on the poster, so giving him to his due.
Yeah, we're there
you go. Give me a Slipknot show.
Finally, Rob Hardy will be the cinematographer for Supergirl Woman of Tomorrow, confirmed on his CV and also confirmed by James Gunn afterwards. His credits include Civil War, Annihilation, and Ex Machina.
All big movies.
Mm-hmm.
So
which is not shocked. They plan. I think they hope Supergirl's a big one.
Go with her.
And
Iggy says here, Tyler Hoechlin as Captain Atom. Not a terrible choice.
Not a terrible choice.
Not a terrible choice.
You'll find a character for him eventually.
Just name them all, Iggy.
Yeah. Finally, for us tonight, our Smallville Retro recap, season 5, episode 21, Oracle.
I vaguely remember this episode. Vaguely. I know we were talking about last week how the penultimate tended to be exciting, usually. This one, not so much.
No, these 2 episodes blended together for me to make me think that season 5 had a great 2-part finale. But no, this episode was only okay, Joe, at best. There's a couple of good things at Brainiac, and Jonathan Kent was cool seeing him back. But stuff that he was saying, it's take 5 seconds. He never said that in his entire existence.
And he would never say that.
Not the Clark. You gotta kill him. You gotta save your family.
Yeah.
Who the hell is this guy? So yeah, that was a little when you get the 5 seasons, you're like, come on, guys. You're insulting your character, not us. The character.
Iggy, I appreciate you, buddy.
Easy, you hush. Hush.
Thank you. Thank you.
But yeah, this there was a little bit to this, but this was just an average episode. The Lionel stuff about with Fine wanting him to kill him and Lionel being possessed by Jor-El, I thought that stuff was pretty cool. And Lionel getting rid of Brainiac at the end, that was
one of them, yes.
Yeah. Just going so yeah. That was, but I guess we're gearing up for the finale, Joe. There wasn't much. There's nothing else really to say that.
I don't remember what happened in the finale, so
I do know one thing, which is that Lex turns into Zod, or Zod possesses Lex, or something.
That tracks.
But and one thing here, I found it really convenient how Chloe was able to decipher Kryptonian in
well, she didn't decipher it. She just threw it all on the computer, and these are the 3 symbols that repeated the most.
Zod is coming. So Zod will be here next episode. Not really, but
so he doesn't show up to season
9, I think.
Oh, is it 9? Is it that far? Ugh, okay.
So yeah, Joe.
There you go. Tyler Hoechlin as Zod. Beat you to it,
Iggy. We have an episode of Creature Commandos next week. It won't be any special episode on Tuesday unless the Superman trailer drops.
That could be any time, couldn't it? Crap.
Yeah. So
okay.
Anyway, fun. Can't wait for next Creature Commandos. Thank you, Grifter. Okay, that's it. We're wrapping up the episode. Grifter.
Grifter. You know what? Grifter would be cool. I like it.
You guys, both of you guys. We're wrapping up the episode.
I can't see him as Slade, but I can see him as Grifter.
Until then, see you guys next week.
Grifter's kind of short. Okay, bye, y'all.
Later.